All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to stream number 7 on Monday, the 15th of December. Market has just opened. We're opening at the top of the overnight range. A gap up of about 140 points, but within the range of yesterday. By yesterday, I mean Friday. This is where we are on the weekly chart. Last week on Friday, we double topped with the November high and then sold off. The main question this week is that going to be the top of the range and we're once again back headed into the 23,000s, or are we this time finally going to break to all-time highs to end the year? I think a lot of it depends on what happens in America over the next couple of weeks. But my intention is to trade without any bias whatsoever. Here is the account. We're up £1,074 in the last 6 sessions, which is better than I could have ever imagined, honestly. And this is how it looks on the graph. I'm yet to put my target P&L on this graph, which would be a good thing to do, to be fair. And I'll make sure I do that before tomorrow. But yeah, it's safe to say we're exceeding expectations. Last week was my best ever week from a risk reward perspective, risking £160, and we made 800 and something, so that's pretty significant. And it's so significant, in fact, that we're actually going to size up this week, meaning I'm now going to be risking up to £200 per trade rather than 150 to 160. My plan is to size up the account every £1,000 profit. The exact amount that I size up each time will be slightly variable. But yeah, £200 a trade from today. So a decent sized jump, once again, a pretty decent sized jump. So that will have an impact on my psychology, without a doubt. On our first stream on Friday the 5th, I think it was, that was my first stream trading £160 per trade. That was up from £100. And I did, I felt it. I really did feel it. So we'll see how I do again today. We've had a bit of a negative open. Bar number 1 tried to push above the overnight range. Sellers have come in. Hopefully this week won't be so dominated by news events. Last week with the FOMC really dominated the entire week's trading. Only really getting decent volatility on Thursday and Friday last week. There is a load of stuff happening again this week, but this time it's more EU-based. Bank of England, the European Central Bank, both announcing their interest rates. On Thursday, we've got the US CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, which is extra significant this time because it's been delayed following the government shutdown. So there is quite a lot going on this week, but hopefully nothing that's going to suppress the market to the extent that the FOMC does. It's also the last full trading week of the year. Next week we'll have the 22nd and the 23rd, the Monday and Tuesday. And then I'm not sure if the market's open on Christmas Eve or not, but I won't be trading either way. So next week it'll just be Monday and Tuesday. And then we've got Christmas on Thursday. So I'll look at my diary, find out what's happening the following week, because then the following week we've got New Year. So then the week of the 29th, we'll be trading on the 29th and the 30th. And then there'll be no trading New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And then we should be okay for Friday the 2nd. So after this week, we'll have 2 very bitty weeks, only trading 5 days out of the 10. And then hopefully January the 5th, we can hit the ground running going into 2026. Later on this week, I want to put some stuff together and do a bit of a review of the year on stream. I'll be doing a far more in-depth one by myself over Christmas, but do a little bit of a summary of sort of where I've gone this year and how bloody quickly it's all happened. This morning I watched back a lot of the trades from last week, which first time I've really done that properly. Extremely useful being able to watch back my trades and listen to my commentary and thoughts on them. There were some trades that I was expecting to be quite unhappy with, but watching them back, I think I generally did okay last week. From a decision-making point of view, the one thing that did come up a few times was I was entering slightly early. So I think I just need to watch out for that this week, because my losses really did come from just entering, even just less than a minute early. But if I'd have waited an extra minute, I would have seen that the market wasn't intending to go the direction I wanted it to. So the market presently is just coming down to these pre-market lows. We're sort of trading in a range from 630. We're now breaking below it. This is sort of a breakout retest happening within the overnight range. See, the market came down at 4 minutes past, hit the bottom, buyers came in, and then we sold back off. So if this sort of thing was happening outside the range, I would be taking the trade, but we don't trade within the overnight range until at least 8:30. And then after that, if we are going to trade it, it's got to be really, really attractive. Got some quite aggressive selling going on right now. this could be a day where we need to wait a little while. I mean, the volatility's there. It's just the location of that volatility that matters to us. So this is where we are in context to yesterday or Friday. We traded up here on Friday. This is where we made our money, our best ever day. Was trading longs above to the November highs, but then pretty much from 9 a.m. or just after 9 a.m., maybe 8:30, it was then downside for the rest of the day. So after we left up here, and then that was downside. So if you're wondering why I don't try and buy and hold throughout the session, that's because I would have blown up my account had I done that on Friday. Completely blown it up. We came down to the bottom of the overnight range. We had some buyers try and push the market back up in the US pre-market. But then from pretty much when the US market opened, this was all downside. So all this downside is because of what was happening in the US. It was a pretty red day in the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow on Friday. And then overnight we've moved up a little bit. But then off the open today, we are coming right back in. So the question is whether we're just coming back down to test the lows before moving higher, or whether we're going to come down and head back to test 24,000 once again. Because last week, Monday through Thursday morning, 24,000 was our key level. 24,000 has acted as a key level many times since the start of the summer. So trading below the overnight range down here today is a little bit tricky, because we've also got to be aware that we've got possible support down below, and I don't want to get caught selling at the lows of the day. So you just want to be really confident that the downtrend is indeed what we're going to see before I make any trades. For some reason, since Friday or Thursday or Friday, TradingView has been extremely laggy when it was running absolutely fine. I'm not sure what is causing that. I was a little bit concerned about the streaming affecting the speed of my laptop. But the thing is, TD365, where I actually execute the trades, runs absolutely fine, which is good because that's absolutely a necessity. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have TD365 running properly. We've just come down to test yesterday's point of control, meaning it's just a level where the most volume was transacted on Friday. Not necessarily a particularly strong support level, it's more just a place to be, an area to be aware of. Can often act like a bit of a magnet for the price. See, TradingView is completely locked up, completely jammed on me there. TD365 is working no problem. It's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. Bear with. I just don't get it. Do not get that. Okay. Let's go here for a bit. I'm wondering if it's because I'm running TD365 through my browser, through Chrome, but then TradingView through the app. I don't think I can get TradingView through the internet. Okay. There we go. Might have to look into this a little bit and see if there's something I can do to sort that out, because I don't really want to be dealing with that every day. Certainly don't need that happening while I'm in a trade. So markets for the first time this morning trying to make a push. We've got the anchored VWAP here, the blue line. We'll see if we can break and hold above. 5 minute. First 5 minute candle this morning to close green. I really have no view or insight over where the market's going today. For the sake of my trading, I'd just like for it to go somewhere. We'll have school run in 5 minutes, which always gives us a bit more of an idea about what's going on. Market's really consolidating here. It's going to be interesting to see whether it breaks out above or breaks out below. If it breaks below, we could have a trade setting up quite soon. If it breaks above, we're going to have to wait and see if the market can really make a strong push. This price level here around 285 is interesting, as the market tried to hold it Friday afternoon. Tried to hold it here and then sold off. Buyers then brought it back to this level, sold off. This morning we've been holding the 285 level, and now we're just coming up to retest it. I'm not sure what's significant about that price in particular, but the market definitely, that's 1, 2, 3, and now 4 times that the market is responding to it. And I mean, you can see that we've literally, as I say that, we've literally tested 285 bang on the dot and are now selling back down. Now, you could see that as a signal to sell short. But for me, we're still firmly within a trading range here. So I do not want to be placing any trades. But it is something to look out for, and is maybe a bit of evidence towards a possible short bias developing. But I definitely don't want to be going short within the overnight range 2 minutes before school run. I'm much better off letting the market really decide what it wants to do. So this is why I didn't sell short. It's because I'd now be short here, sort of sweating out around break even. I'm happy to let the market come down here and then find an entry, because then I know that the market has decided that we're in a downtrend. Okay, so that is the second 15-minute candle here. Has closed. We've closed red. Still firmly within the overnight range. So that's why I didn't short before school run, because there's often a reaction at 8:30, which is quite hard to predict. It may only be a very temporary reaction, but it's enough that could stop you out of positions very, very quickly. So that's right there. This move is why I don't trade the overnight range in the first half an hour, because the market has simply not decided yet where it wants to go. Will be interesting here to see if we can break through VWAP this time, or if this is just yet another test before more downside. If you were really wanting to go short, this would be a better time to do it, because you've actually had a retest. But whilst you could argue that this is a retest of VWAP and you'd want to be short, you could also argue that this is a retest down here of the lows and you might actually want to be long. So extremely conflicting. So to me, any trade right now would just be the toss of a coin. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, we've got a bit of an accumulation at VWAP here. In the past, I may have gone short here, but it's just so dodgy. It's so so uncertain within the overnight range. And to be fair, now that we've made that little wick, that is more interesting. But it's just not worth it. It's really not worth it. You know, because the thing I've got to keep telling myself is, you know, every trading week, there's going to be at least a few, let's say at least 3 really good setups, really good, you know, and just those 2, 3 or 4 really good setups are enough to make an incredible living from. You know, and the only way that I'm going to consistently screw it up is through taking lower quality, lower probability trades, like a short entry here. If I had entered short there, I'd be right on the edge of being stopped out, right on the edge. And then all of a sudden, I'm £200 down for what, you know, because I didn't want to sit here bored for a little bit. You know, and that's why in the past I've had so many losing weeks or break-even weeks. It's not that I can't take the good trades. I do take the good trades, and I've been taking the good trades, you know, since May, June time. But I've also, up to the last month or two, also been taking these crappy little trades rather than just sitting here satisfied that I haven't lost money. So it does feel good now sitting here knowing that I would now be £200 down if I'd taken that impulsive trade. But instead I'm sat here break even, still over £1,000 up since last week. And if we sit here for another half an hour and nothing happens, that really isn't a problem. I'll come back tomorrow and maybe there will be a good setup. Or maybe we have to wait until Thursday. But ultimately, a great trade will come my way. But when it does come my way, it should be screaming me in the face, telling me, take it, take it, take it. Whereas trades like this are little whispers trying to tempt you into giving all your profits back to the market. So now we have broken through that 285 level, maybe temporarily, maybe not. And we seem to be holding above VWAP. But again, that could be very short-lived, which is why, once again, we are not taking any trades in here. This is a strict no trade zone this morning. It's, you know, this entire area here is all a no trade zone. Do not touch. So what we have got though is a prior bar high now on the 15-minute chart. We've got a prior bar high with sellers immediately and strongly coming in. Which is interesting. Again, it may be very short-lived, or maybe this will be the start of a more meaningful move to the downside. So on a morning like this, I tend to wait anywhere between 9 a.m. to 9:30 because there has been many days where the market's quiet for the first hour and then bang, it goes. I'm sitting here in quite a luxurious position, having had a great week last week. I feel no need to chase anything. It's harder when you've just come out of a bad week. Maybe you've lost 3-4% last week. You come in on Monday really keen to make amends, and the market opens and it's doing this, and then you can start chasing the market out of a form of desperation to make up for last week's mistakes. And then because you're trading in this sort of market, then you end up losing more, and then it can just snowball into this complete meltdown, which luckily I've not had yet, but that is the sort of story that is so common. And it's a story that I'm incredibly cautious to try and avoid. Because I've got it easy today because I had a good week last week. But whenever I have a bad week, I need to maintain this patient level head. So the third 15-minute candle was closed green, but has closed within the range of the prior candle. But we are now above VWAP, and it just takes a little push to get the market maybe rallying up, and then if we can get up here, which could happen in a matter of moments, that's when we start to get interested. Let's have a quick look at last Monday, because I believe last Monday was a relatively similar story. Yeah, I mean, here you go. This is a perfect example of it was the 9:15, so it was 9:15 to 9:30 last Monday where the market got going. But for the first hour and just under an hour and a half, the market was just trading sideways, basically doing what it's doing today. And then, the good setups happened between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, which we were there for last week. Last Monday was our really long stream, but also by far our least profitable stream. We made £24 in about 2.5 hours of trading. And I reviewed this morning, and I actually didn't do too badly. It was just one of those mornings where there just wasn't a lot of money to be made. But to be honest, rather than sitting there for 2.5 hours to make 20 quid, I'd have probably been better off saying, meh, I'm just going to take the morning off. But at this point, last week, I was only on my second stream. So I was, very keen to get off to a fast start. But looks like we're seeing a very similar situation unfolding this morning. We really are crawling up at the moment. Crawling, crawling, crawling. Wow. Okay. Well, so what appears to be happening is the market has crawled back to this overnight support, this level that we talked about earlier, and is now, this is where sellers are coming in. So this entire area here is a trading range. But if the market can sell through, retest, and then continue, we then want to be short on that continuation. But if we come down here and we just rebound back in, then we don't want to be anywhere near it. But it is good to see a little bit of aggression now in the market as we approach 9 a.m. And if we look at the hourly candle now, it's now looking extremely negative, but we are still within the overnight range and we're still within yesterday's range. So any trade we make will likely be very, very short term, looking to take advantage of some sort of quick aggressive move to the downside. There's a little bit of a tussle going on here. Buyers trying to support the market at the lows of the day, and sellers trying to continue the sell-off. This is the sort of struggle that we want to see, though. We want to see this happening, especially considering it's near the lows. It's far more interesting activity as far as I'm concerned. So we're making lower lows here, and we're now just a handful of points off the low of the day. The one thing I am a little bit concerned about at 9 o'clock is some sort of prior bar low buying happening at the low of the overnight range. This could easily turn into a bit of a trap for sellers. So I'd really like to see that new hourly candle form. And then make a trade a little bit into the hour. But it is now looking far more likely that we are going to end up getting a trade today. So we've now made a new low for the session. Okay, so the hourly candle is closing right at its lows. And that is pretty decisively a negative candle. Now we'll see if some 9 a.m. prior bar low buyers are going to step in, or if we're going to start moving down quite aggressively. So profit target, if we do sell short this morning, the ultimate target would be where we closed on Friday afternoon at 24,186. We'd certainly want to be out of the trade fully by then, but really it's 24,200, which the market hit at in the evening on Friday, would probably be where we'd get out of our full position. So let's see what we do. Let's see what we do. So there are some buyers coming in below prior bar low right now. We'll see if it's sustained. I am now quite expectant of a push down. Just not entirely sure of when that's going to happen. This is the sort of price action I was hoping to see. There's also the possibility that we test VWAP once again before any further downside, in which case that could also be a very good entry opportunity. So if you look at the hourly chart now, you'll see where buyers have come in below the low. Now, why did I not buy? Given that I sort of called it, because this is only going to happen about 50% of the time. You know, so 50% of the time, you'd look really clever for buying down here. The other half the time, you'd just be buying into a massive downtrend, and you would look like an idiot. So we are going to be testing VWAP. We've also got a 5-minute prior bar high. We also might just be reversing, and that might just be the low of the day. So we have got some reaction here at VWAP, no doubt. No doubt we have got some reaction. Got a new 5-minute candle, prior bar high now. Mm. If this candle closes on a lower low, I may be going short, but we've got to see it close in the red. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. In fact, we're actually closing right at the highs. Okay, we're coming back down now, perhaps. We really need to see some sort of lower low down here. If we can close at a lower low, I quite like this short, but there's just not enough evidence yet for me to make a trade. Okay, I'm now short. I am now short DAX. Changing screens. So we're short here on a retest of VWAP in a overall downtrend, with the hope being that we now make a push down. I like this entry. It follows my rules. What more can we ask for? Take profit one will be down here at the lows of the morning. The 5-minute chart has 10 seconds left, and it looks pretty negative. Stop loss is going to break even. I've taken half profit there, half out. Half out at just over 1R. I'd like to give the market a chance to make lower lows, given that that was a pretty aggressive and decisive test of VWAP. I understand also we may just triple bottom 1, 2, 3, but I the market's finally got some real aggression going on, and I want to give it a chance. I want to give it a chance to work in my favor. It certainly is trying to work in our favor. But unfortunately, right now, it's looking like there may just be a few too many buyers. With how aggressive the market moved down, it felt different. It felt different to the rest of the price action this morning. The hope now is that it can hold below this level. Come on. When you widen out the time frame, it does look like we're going to see lower lows today, but maybe now's not the time for it. Okay, we're out for break even on the second half of the position. That was a profit of 87.50. Just going to show you the 5-minute chart, which is the reason I stayed in. Oh, hang on. So, oh man. So the 5-minute chart here, you saw we had a prior bar high on the 5-minute. And I often, when you've got such a big green candle followed by such a big red candle, that normally means you're going to get some follow through, which we still might. We still might get that follow through. It just isn't happening right this second. But that was a good entry, a good trade, ultimately. Now we've got yet another test of VWAP coming. As you can now see. Although now it's testing again, and we've made this very distinct double bottom. I'm no longer so keen on the short. But it's a winning start to the week, albeit not a particularly huge profit. So there's once again, we've got another reaction here, clearly, at VWAP, although this 5-minute chart is now starting to look super duper messy. Super duper messy. You could argue in hindsight, given that we were within the overnight range, I should have just taken full profit at 1R. I think that would be a reasonable take. And maybe that's something I'll do in the future, is if we are trading within the overnight range, I just take 1R and that's it. It's probably probably the sensible thing to do, I think, because there's a higher probability of maintaining the range than there is than breaking the range. So betting on a breakout, probably not particularly sensible. But here we go, we're moving down again. So this is sort of what I was hoping was going to happen before I got stopped out for break even. I would not mind entering short again if we get a good entry. If not, we're just going to have to let it break out without us. Oh, damn it. See, this is what I was hoping was going to happen a moment ago. Just a bloody thing. So now I would be shocked if we didn't break out. I'd be shocked. If we do break out, we're looking for a breakout and then a retest of the current low. And then an entry. So our big main trade of the day may still be upon us. This is very similar to last week, to last Monday. Very quiet first hour, and then volatility builds after 9 o'clock. Here we go, potentially. So as I said, this is why I only took half profits, because this is what I was looking to happen back here. But again, I do think next time taking full profit would be the way to go when we're within the overnight range. Just bank that money, and then we can always if the market does continue lower, then we can do another trade on a breakout retest. It just makes more sense. Really does make more sense. And I will do that in future, and I'll add that to my playbook. It might not be the most exciting way to trade, but I think it would be more profitable, which is all anyone gives a shit about. Or it's all anyone should give a shit about. So we've got a real fight going on now. Buyers desperately trying to protect their positions, because if the market moves down here, they're all going to get stopped out. This has now got all the hallmarks of a possible breakout retest. Here it goes. So this is our breakout. This is our breakout. And now we let it go. We don't chase. And then we trade the retest and follow through. So we're actually still within the overnight range right now. We literally just tagged it. So that current low is the bottom of the overnight range. If we break lower again, that will be a breakout below the overnight range. Again, just tagged the overnight range. It does feel like there's just too much pressure to the downside for this market not to break out. But you never know. You never, ever know. So this is why we don't sell short immediately on the initial break, is because if buyers are going to come in and prop the market up, it would have been there. But now that we have officially broken below the overnight range, although again, only momentarily, it's now looking far more likely that we'll get follow through. So we're still about 50 points above where the market closed out yesterday, which, as we said at the start of the day, would be our ultimate get out point. So once again, justification for not selling that initial break as the market's trying to fight for its life right now. So what's happened right there is the market has just gone about 2 points below the overnight range and has then climbed back into it. I think it's now very clear, though, that we're making, lower highs all the way. This would be quite the comeback if buyers can reverse the market from down here. That would be quite an impressive feat, to be fair. Looks like we might end up getting yet another test of VWAP. If we did, and we did re-enter, I would be implementing that 1R take profit. Although that red candle that just formed isn't good news for anyone who's long. It's not good news for them. But there it goes again, pushing higher. So again, we could have easily entered short near the lows. We'd be stopped out. So that's yet another loss that we've saved ourselves from through that extra bit of patience. So that is good news. This is the 15-minute. Still very much red, but no longer necessarily going to get a breakout. This sort of market conditions would be generally described now as a broad channel, meaning we are heading lower highs and lower lows, but with very large swings. Very large swings. So we've got another 15-minute candle now. It's opened. Opening in the red, at least for the moment. So maybe this is going to be another lower high here. But when we're this close to VWAP, you would expect the market to test it. And now we've just had a 5-minute prior bar low being bought. So really, what I want to see now is the market test VWAP and move lower. If we move back above VWAP, I think that's confirmation that the market isn't going to break the range anytime too soon this morning. So I would probably end it there. But I do want to see if we can test VWAP and move back lower again. Again, the closer we get to VWAP, the more selling is going on. So this is a new consolidation area that's forming, and it's a consolidation at the, or very near to the lows of the day. I'm now looking for a breakout here and then a retest. And then I quite like the short again. just as it was all looking quite interesting, the market has gone completely sideways. So I'm going to leave it till 10 o'clock and then that'll be it. So once again, we're testing VWAP. Are we going to have the same reaction to what we've had so far this morning? Or was that little wick below the overnight range truly the bottom? Mm-hmm. Well, there's definitely a reaction. It's just whether that reaction is going to be positive or negative. Hmm. Okay. Okay, I'm short the DAX, but I got an awful entry, unfortunately. Got an awful entry. I wanted to be entered up here. I think I've lost about 5 points. Damn it. Oh, it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. I should be break even now, but I'm actually losing. Oh, that's really frustrating. Okay, let's just manage this position properly. I like the trade. I just don't like where I've actually entered. I'm closing half my position because I do not like my entry and I don't want to take a big loss on a trade where I'm not happy with my entry. Oh, it's really frustrating. That is really frustrating. I didn't get the entry I wanted. Oh. Okay. I'm moving stop loss down. This is just cautious because I really don't want to lose unnecessarily on a trade where I'm already 5 points behind where I wanted to be before I even started the trade. Okay, closing that part of the trade for break even. That was only a £15 net loss, nothing really. So the problem with getting a bad entry like that is, I'm 5 points down, which is £50, but that means I'm then risking £50 more than I actually wanted to risk, which is why I decided to close this trade early, even though it may end up going into the green. I'd much rather just close it break even than risking £50 more than I'm comfortable risking. However, if we do come back up to VWAP again and fail, then I'm happy to re-enter, but it needs to be at a price and a risk level that I'm comfortable with. And that's the thing with scalping is, one click, 1 second too soon or too late, and you can lose 5 points. So 10 a.m. is coming up. I'm just going to see if we get a clear rejection of VWAP to the downside. If that hasn't happened by 5 past, 10 past, then I'll be finished for what would end up being a slightly profitable morning. So the reason I am still interested is because we've been making these lower highs all morning, and when you get the entry right, there's quite a lot of points to be made. I'd just like to see potentially a 10 a.m. attempt higher to then fail and then give me that high risk reward entry that I'm looking for. So it's coming up in 30 seconds. We'll get it. Okay, so 10 a.m. This last hourly candle was green, but made a lower low and closed below VWAP. So the idea now is we're going to get a pop back up before some continuation short. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But it's come on, let's make a little push up. Okay. VWAP on TradingView is slightly different to what you're seeing with this red line. VWAP on TradingView is up here. It's slightly different from platform to platform. I'm going to go with TradingView because that's what I tend to use, and I want to be consistent. So we need another sort of 5 points of upside in order to actually get to the price that I'm interested in. If the market decides to reject here and move down, then so be it. Okay, we're nearly there. Need about 2 more points. So what we want to see now is some sort of retest rejection of this level. Okay, so it's officially touched my VWAP line. If the market moves higher, then that's fine. We stay away. Or we reject and it gives us a chance for a short. So there's a bit of a reaction going on. Okay, I'm short, not risking many points here, so it would only be a small loss. But this is the sort of rejection I was looking for. So essentially the idea here is that we've been making lower highs all morning, and we're just looking for a continuation of that trend. If that doesn't happen, I'm comfortable being wrong. If we do lose this trade, we'll be ending the morning around break even. But the risk reward for this trade is incredibly high. This could easily be a 3-to-1. And those sort of opportunities don't come around all the time. So right now, this is exactly what I was looking for. We need to be patient because this is a choppy market. So it's not likely to flush immediately in our direction, although that would be nice. The target will be down here. I'm really happy with this entry, even if this ends up coming all the way up and stopping me out. I'm really happy with this. Required a lot of patience. I'm just going to show you the 15-minute. 15 minutes to me is looking really good. A double top on a 15-minute is, generally speaking, rather strong. Okay, I've closed half the position there. Stop loss to break even. I'd like to get down here to take the rest out. Really? Going to gap up like that? Jesus. Looks like it's going to be another stop out. I'm not sure why the market's gapped up 5 points. I'm not quite sure. Where that's come from, but there you go. Okay, well, there we go. Another small profit. That was about £70 plus the 87, 150 minus the 20, no, minus the 15. Okay. I think we're looking at about 140 for the day so far. We've got another VWAP test here. Maybe finally going to move higher on the morning. Or if we reject again, this could be another great entry. But we need to see some red and some follow through. If we make higher highs, then that structure is gone. Market's desperately trying to hold on to this lower high structure. Closing at the high and then immediately selling. Market still can't quite escape this trading range. There's more sellers trying to hold the market below this level. And the buyer's finally going to get a win. It looks like it. Okay, so that is going to be us finished for the morning, as the market has now broken that structure and we're back into the range. So that's going to be that. I'll show you my transactions for the morning. So there they are. Decent net profit in the end, considering all things considered, right? Decent net profit. We started the morning on 15,074, I believe. Let's just check. Yeah. So 140 £140, which on a day like this, we'll take it. We'll take it. Messy price action. Messy, but you know, there were opportunities. There were opportunities. You know, we got this short here. If we'd have taken full profit down there, you know, that would have been a pretty damn good trade. Again, here we could have re-entered, although it just moved away a little bit too fast. But another morning we'd catch that, and that'd be another good trade. And then we managed to catch a very small scalp here, where we took half. We were hoping that it was going to retest the lows, didn't quite. So pretty good, and we avoided some losses as well that could have easily accrued on a day like this. To not have a single losing trade on a morning this messy is very solid risk management, very solid. The market now looks, oh, we're testing this 285 again. Testing is 285. Anyway, but because we're above VWAP, we wouldn't short it even if it does reject. But we will come back tomorrow and we will see what happened at this 285 level. So thank you, and I will be back tomorrow for hopefully a shorter and